The Revenant is a semi-biographical story, meaning it's supposed to be biographical, but it follows the real-life events about as closely as Pearl Harbor.
I haven't noticed.
A semi-biographical story of Hugh Glass, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Set in 1823, he and his son are hunting when a camp is attacked and Leo is soon mauled by a bear, despite them clearly being around during the time that they should be hibernating. Forget biographical, he can't even follow nature. And it leaves him alone. Seriously, this bear attacks him twice, somehow doesn't kill him. Bears kill humans within seconds. I know it's based on real life events, but this movie doesn't actually follow it that closely. And from a filmmaking point of view, the bear would have killed him like in 2 minutes flat. I don't get this. Why doesn't it kill him? Even especially when he shoots it in the face. And then it just walks off and leaves him. What?
Shut up.
The group decide to keep moving, but his son and another dude agree to stay with him. However, he murders his son and then abandons him, and the rest of the film is Leo fighting for survival to reunite with the others before avenging his son's death. And after countless Academy Award nominations, he finally got an Oscar in his grasp.
Is that what happened?
Production of the movie actually began as far back as 2001 when producer Akiva Goldsman gained the rights to an unfinished script, and Samuel Jackson was even lined up to star in the lead. Unfortunately, things stalled for nearly an entire decade when Mark Smith wrote a new version in 2010, with the lead now being aimed towards Christian Bale, but John Hillcoat, who was intended to direct, left the project that October, before being replaced by Jean-Francois Richet and then finally Alejandro G. Iñárritu in August of 2011. Script rewrites went underway, but Mark Smith was unconvinced that some of the sequences Iñárritu wrote could actually be shot. He would have some ideas, and I would say, Alejandro, we can't pull this off. It's not going to work. And he would say, Mark, trust me, we can do this. In the end, he was right.
Sounds like a good idea.
Filming was again put on hold in 2012 as Iñárritu was hired to direct Film Flam Man, and later that year he was also committed to doing Birdman first. As soon as that movie wrapped up, The Revenant finally began shooting in October of 2014 on an insane budget of $30 million. However, this would blow up to $60 million, which would then increase to $95 million and eventually wrap up on a staggering $135 million. And then there's me, who can barely afford a can of tuna.
Why not?
The filming was truly a nightmarish experience. Schedules constantly overran, leading to Tom Hardy having to drop out of Suicide Squad. Not that he was really missing much. But Iñárritu was a complete nightmare to work for. Due to shooting always going over schedule, the snow melted in their location of Canada, so they had to completely relocate to Argentina. Filming in the absolute freezing was as bad as it sounds, but the director always insisted on continuing regardless. Many of the crew members were either fired for resisting or simply walked out of the production entirely. Iñárritu stood up for himself, however, claiming that they all knew what they were getting themselves into in the first place, as they were all warned beforehand. So that makes it okay.
They was gonna get everybody killed.
In fact, there was once a time where DiCaprio had to actually stop the director from proceeding. The actors and crew members' teeth were literally chattering from the cold, and the camera had actually completely froze. And he still needed somebody else to tap him on the shoulder and be like, dude, think you're taking this a bit too far?
Until then, nobody gets paid.
DiCaprio himself admitted that he was enduring the possibility of hypothermia constantly. He called it the hardest performance of his entire career. There's a scene where his character has to eat a raw bison's liver, and when the time presented itself, Leo was given a red gelatinous pancake to eat. But he thought that it looked way too fake, so despite being a vegetarian, he actually ate a raw bison's liver for real. That's actually kind of badass.
Where did you learn that?
In fact, to prepare for the role, he had to also learn to shoot a musket, build a fire, speak fluently in 2 Native American languages, and he studied with a doctor who specialized in ancient healing techniques. His co-star Tom Hardy always refuses to even read the script beforehand, but Leo managed to convince him to read half at least, which is when he agreed to the part. In fact, the two even had a bet going. Leo predicted that Hardy was going to be nominated for an Academy Award for the film, which Tom thoroughly disagreed with. They decided to place a wager on it, and the loser would have to get a tattoo of the winner's choice. Lo and behold, Hardy was nominated and had to get a tattoo that read, "Leo knows everything." Except how to fit on a ginormous door. Come on, there was loads of room on there.
Your boy.
Despite its accolades, it's been speculated just how much of the movie was actually historically accurate in the first place. The backstory about Glass's love for a Pawnee woman is fiction. It has been suggested that the real Glass had such a relationship, but there's no firm evidence, and no evidence that he even had any children to begin with. As for the ending, it has been changed in one significant way. In real life, nobody got killed. Canadian actor Roy Dupuis also hated the film for portraying the French-Canadian voyageurs as murderous rapists. The movie was actually released on Christmas Day in 2015 in Los Angeles, grossing a worldwide total of $533 million. Critics praised the amazing acting performances, direction, cinematography, but many criticized the 2.5-hour running time. The movie picked up Academy Awards for Best Director a year after winning the same for Birdman, making him only one of 3 directors to win Best Director awards consecutively. Emmanuel Lubezki picked up Best Cinematography for the 3rd year running, the only man to have ever done so. And finally, after 4 failed nominations with What's Eating Gilbert Grape, The Aviator, Blood Diamond, and The Wolf of Wall Street, Leo finally did it and picked up the big win, making it the 4th year in a row where the Best Actor winner was playing a real-life person, after Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln, Matthew McConaughey in Dallas Buyers Club, and Eddie Redmayne in The Theory of Everything. The movie also picked up Golden Globes for Best Drama, Best Director, and Best Actor for Leo, 5 BAFTAs for Best Film, Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Sound, and Best Actor for Leo. Tom Hardy won Best British Actor at the London Film Critics Circle, and Time magazine even listed both DiCaprio and director Iñárritu in the 100 most influential people of 2015. Yes, the cinematography is astounding. It features the trademark Iñárritu long take, showing off the scenery and obvious rehearsals, and honestly, it looks amazing. Topped off with some great visuals and minimal gore. There's also subtle directorial choices like having the audio slowly tune out as the music takes over. The CGI of the bear attack looked great, and there's no music adding to the realism and fear. The acting performances are all incredible. Well...
Life? What life you talking about? I ain't got no life. I just got living. The only way I get to do that is through these pelts.
Why does he talk like he's got a bunch of marbles stuck in the back of his throat? Life? What are you talking about, life? I ain't got no life. What life you talking about?
Look at you! If you can't stand up, you can't do war!
Yeah, we all will be if you don't quit wailing like that.
Why do they talk like they're still trying to digest some beef steak? There's intense moments where they're hunting or being hunted and there's no music, so they're lying in wait. It's really thrilling. But other than that, I can see the appeal. The cinematography is gorgeous, so I can honestly see why so many people like it. But to me, this is nothing more than a boring, generic survival in the woods flick. I made fun of Avatar for doing this crap in 2009, and even then it was unoriginal. How come everyone ripped on Avatar for being so uncreative, but now The Revenant gets a free pass? This was 2015, and it does nothing to separate itself. It's just boring. And every time I research into it, all I hear is how much they had to go through to make the film, or what Leo had to go through for his performance. That doesn't automatically make it amazing. I mean, Harold P. Warren poured his entire life savings into Marno's The Hands of Fate, and that's universally and historically known as one of the worst movies in history. Yes, Leo went through a lot. Yes, the crew endured ridiculous circumstances. And sincerest well done to them on finishing it, but that doesn't automatically excuse any negative criticism. This is Boyhood all over again. But this is honestly one of the most disappointing viewing experiences I have ever witnessed. I mean, there are clever moments when Leo is really smart with how he survives, and the music mostly gets you into the action. The opening sequence, for instance, is incredible. But other than that, it's the same boring, generic cliche we've seen before. There's nothing special, but I guess because it's based on a true story and the movie is clearly Oscar bait, you can't hate it. The characters have nothing to them. Leo single-handedly kills the bear with his bare hands. You know this movie isn't even worth it.
You ought to be proud of yourself, boy.
And that's cool and everything, but other than that, there is no reason to want him to survive other than the fact that he's Leonardo DiCaprio. They clearly ran out of ideas too, because for a film that's 2.5 hours, they just stop and do random shit constantly. And I just don't get the hype for DiCaprio. I mean, he does fine. It is DiCaprio after all, and I've never seen a bad performance from the guy. But there's nothing here that separates it. There's nothing here that, in my mind, surpasses Gilbert Grape or Blood Diamond or Wall Street.
No way he could have ridden through the night.
How far ahead?
Half a day at the most.
And why does he sound like he's got throat cancer? I'm Batman. Give me an Oscar. This is what got me an Oscar. Not Gilbert Grape, the greatest performance in the history of Hollywood. Blow me. Leo literally spends the entire first hour lying on his ass. And after he gets abandoned, he miraculously somehow becomes healed in a split second and he can now suddenly move. What the hell? This is Dark Knight Rises level of healing right here. And when he finally reunites with the others, he somehow just gets better. But in real life, this never happened. He had to actually crawl and struggle constantly. But I guess one thing Iñárritu did right was that he realized we already had 2.5 hours of crawling and struggling. Any more would have been overkill. The other characters just spit boring filler, and literally we get this dramatic moment 2 hours in, and I guess we're supposed to care, but my brain cells had already leaked out of my nostrils at this point, and I lost my ability to give a shit. And I don't quite get why they even bother carrying Leo around for as long as they do anyway. They tease putting him out of his misery, and obviously his son doesn't want them to, but he's in absolute agony and he's slowing them down. It's common sense. It's based on a true story. Yeah, that just means that the guys in real life were dumbasses too. They changed everything else from the real life story. This wouldn't have hurt. But when they finally do decide to leave him with the two dudes, it is admittedly quite emotional. But the guy is literally begging Leo to die. Well, kill him then. He asks him to blink to give his permission. Just kill the guy. He can't stop you, and you can just deny it. And when he finally ditches him, he starts to bury Leo alive and doesn't cover his face for some reason. Why? You want him to die? This doesn't make any sense. Just kill him, goddammit.
No, Glass.
That's glass!
Glass! Jesus Christ, what happened?
He's trying desperately to get an Oscar again. Quick, take him away. We're trying to be artsy. Give us an Oscar. Hey look, the avalanche is dropping quicker than this video's dislike bar. And even towards the end, Leo himself is looking for the film to finish. Where the hell are the closing credits? They gotta be here somewhere. How much longer can we drag this shit out for? And for a musical score that's so amazing for most of it, it suddenly changes and sounds like a kid wandered in, found some random instruments and began just clunking them together.
No deal. You killed my boy.
Prepare to die.
Well, maybe you should raise a man. Says some girly little bitch.
Oh shit just got real, fam. The fight itself is actually really cool. Even the camera gets snow on it, which is either a genuine mistake or a really clever subtle touch. You decide. But it's very realistically put together with knife wounds and such, but the ending is weird. I'm fine with it not explaining everything, but Leo breaks the fourth wall and just looks directly into the camera. Holy shit, this is the one I'm getting a fucking Oscar for! The Revenant is just an overhyped, overrated, boring, generic film with a bland script, but amazing on the technical side of things. If they combined the incredible cinematography and directing style with a tremendous script like Children of Men, for instance, it would have been one of the best movies in history. But for me, it's just a forgettable mess.